Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane to the 35th anniversary of WWF WrestleMania VII, which went down on March 24th, 1991 in Los Angeles, California. And let me tell you, this wasn't just another WrestleMania. This was a night full of twists, drama, and history-making moments that hardcore fans still talk about today. First, there was the WWF Championship match, Hulk Hogan vs. Sergeant Slaughter. It wasn't just about the title. It was the accumulation of a politically charged storyline, with Slaughter embodying the Iraqi sympathizer angle during the Gulf War. Fans were on the edge of their seats, not knowing if Hulk Hogan could capture the world title against an ultimate villain. Then we had what would become the career-ending match of none other than the Ultimate Warrior, who was facing Macho King Randy Savage in a clash that marked the end of an era. And if it wasn't enough, the blindfold match, Jake the Snake Roberts and the model Rick Martel brought a mix of comedy, chaos, and pure unpredictability, reminding us that WrestleMania was always a roller coaster of emotion. Oh, and we can't forget the arena shuffle drama. This event was originally slated for the massive Los Angeles Coliseum, a 100,000 seat stadium, but was moved to the LA Sports Arena due to lagging ticket sales. The company even used a storyline about these against Sergeant Slaughter to cover the change. Pro wrestling storytelling at its finest. It was chaotic, it was dramatic, and it was absolutely unforgettable. So strap in, because we're diving deep into WrestleMania VII, the stories, the backstage chaos, and all of what ifs that hardcore fans still debate to this day.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Welcome to
Oh, yeah!
It's going to be the biggest battleground in the history of our sport.
As God is my witness, he is broken in half.
But I'm better than you, and you know it!
You want some? Come get some!
Acknowledge me!
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Welcome, wrestling fans, to the Wrestling Universe Channel's podcast, where pro wrestling fans discuss what we love, pro wrestling. So as always, if it's your first time listening in, we, the Wrestling Universe Channel, would like to thank you for taking the time to listen. And if you have returned, we want to give you a special shout out of thanks for sticking around the Wrestling Universe Channel. We invite you to follow us on YouTube and Spotify. Links below.
World Wrestling Federation Champion! Sergeant Slaughter! Versus the Immortal Hulk Hogan! Face of
To really understand why this episode mattered, you have to remember where the World Wrestling Federation stood in early 1991. The company was deep into one of the most storyline heavy build towards WrestleMania that it ever attempted, bringing in real life drama into the entertainment world. Sergeant Slaughter had shocked the wrestling world at the Royal Rumble when he defeated the Ultimate Warrior for the championship, aligning himself with General Agnon and adopting the controversial Iraqi sympathizer persona during the Gulf War era. And we covered this in our Royal Rumble 1991 podcast, which you can find in this playlist or our archives. Go check it out if you've missed it. It was one of the most talked about polarizing storylines the company had ever produced. Enter Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's Royal Rumble victory and automatic #1 contendership agreement by President Jack Tunney immediately set the stage for what the WWF wanted to portray as a patriotic showdown at WrestleMania VII, the All-American hero battling the treacherous champion Sergeant Slaughter. But as big as that main event was shaping up to be, many longtime fans will tell you that the true emotional centerpiece of WrestleMania VII wasn't the title match at all. It was the war between the Ultimate Warrior and the Macho King Randy Savage. Savage, now fully entrenched in his Macho King persona alongside sensational Queen Sherry, had developed a bitter obsession with the Ultimate Warrior after costing him the WWF Championship at the Royal Rumble. Week after week, the tensions escalated. Finally, the stipulation was set. At WrestleMania VII, the two men would meet in a career-ending match. Lose and your career in the WWF would be over. Personally, wrestling fans, I feel this WrestleMania was the general blueprint idea of having this traditional event have more than one main event.
Let's take a peek behind the mysterious curtain on what drama, situations, politics, everything hush-hush that only the dirt sheet somehow got a hold of. It's time to go behind the curtain.
From the February 11th, 1991 Wrestling Observer newsletter. WrestleMania has now been moved to the 15,000-seat LA Sports Arena in a decision that was made sometime between January 23rd and January 25th. The Coliseum owners quietly pulled the plug on ticket sales a couple weeks ago, and the quote-unquote current plan is to just ignore the change and continue advertising the show as coming from Los Angeles on TV, and then hope that no one notices. Although Dave Meltzer had been hearing that 20 to 25,000 tickets have been sold, sources close to the box office suggest that 12,000 paid was a more realistic number. However, apparently the change had nothing to do with ticket sales, because the big push wasn't even going to happen until after the match was announced on the main event. Continuing on, Macho King Randy Savage broke his thumb after the Super Hot Warrior angle and needed surgery and pins in his hand to fix it. Apparently, Savage is planning on legitimately retiring after WrestleMania, and this only adds fuel to that fire. The Ultimate Warrior did a job for Savage in a cage match that ended with Warrior getting distracted while beating the stuffings out of Sensational Sherry and ripping her clothes off until she was in her bra and panties. Apparently, parents at the show had the crazy idea this wasn't something they wanted their kids to see and walked out on the show during the match. From the February 25th, 1991 Wrestling Observer newsletter, Sergeant Slaughter was telling people he actually has to wear a bulletproof vest everywhere, which is a big pain in the butt. Ricky Steamboat is coming in with a fire-breathing gimmick after WrestleMania. Vince is now making the claim that WrestleMania VII is the fastest sellout in history. Never mind that tickets have been on sale for 10 months, and it took that long just to hit 15,000 tickets. But technically, the sports arena tickets went on sale as a separate deal. And since 99.9% of the tickets were already pre-sold, boom, instant sellout. However, the main problem is that the show was budgeted to make $4 million at the Coliseum, and now the gate will only be $1 million. Normally, $1 million would be one of the biggest gates in North America history, but the advertising budget was scaled for $4 million, and now they're in some financial difficulty based on the lower estimate.
Now let's dive into the business side of this event, where we talk revenue, attendance, and impact, basically where the numbers tell the story.
From a business perspective, WrestleMania VII, while attendance announced at 16,158, reports indicate the paid attendance was closer to 10,500 to 12,000, with comp tickets filling the remainder, and the buyout approximately 2.8, or about 400,000 to a million plus buys, depending on the source. Widely considered a low-performing WrestleMania at the time. Ticket prices for this event ranged up to $77 for prime seating, with some packages including hotel and transportation, a premium for the full WrestleMania experience. And looking back on that ticket price, wow, compared to what we experience nowadays. The LA Sports Arena is sold out with a gate of $975,000. The original planned venue, the Los Angeles Coliseum, could have accommodated 100,000 fans. However, ticket sales were lagging, and management made the tough call to downsize to the LA Sports Arena. While some fans and historians argue that waiting might have helped, there were practical concerns: logistics, marketing, and maintaining the illusion of urgency in the storylines. In other words, the smaller venue was safer for production and storytelling, even if it limited revenue potential. Alright, wrestling fans, the moment has come where we dive in and unpack this event's match card. And let's take a moment to highlight this rundown the only way possible, with a little assistance from a voice of this time period.
The opening contest of WrestleMania VII featured Haku and the Barbarian representing the Heenan family and accompanied by Bobby Heenan taking on the high-energy duo of the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. The Rockers immediately established their fast-paced offense, using quick tags and coordinated double-team maneuvers to keep their larger opponents off balance. Early in the match, the pace forced Haku and the Barbarian to retreat to the outside momentarily, regrouping with Bobby Heenan at ringside. Heenan's guidance from the floor emphasized slowing the match down and isolating one opponent, a strategy aimed at neutralizing the Rockers' speed advantage. Momentum shifted when the Heenan family capitalized on an opening against Marty Jannetty. While Shawn Michaels attempted to enter the ring to assist his partner, Haku and the Barbarian used the distraction to execute a double-team stun gun on Jannetty across the top rope. With Jannetty isolated, the heels began controlling the match, working him over in their corner and keeping Michaels from making the tag. Marty Jannetty absorbed the punishment while continuing to look for an opportunity to reach his partner. As the sequence progressed, the crowd became increasingly engaged, responding to the near misses and the building tension of the tag attempt. One notable moment saw the Barbarian counter a high-flying crossbody from Jannetty by catching him midair and driving him down with a power slam, demonstrating the power advantage the Heenan family brought to the contest. Eventually, Jannetty created enough separation to make the tag, bringing Shawn Michaels into the match with renewed energy. Michaels entered with a burst of offense, using quick strikes and aerial attacks to regain momentum for his team. The pace increased again as both teams traded near falls during the closing stretch. The finish came when the Rockers executed simultaneous top rope attacks. Jannetty delivered a missile dropkick while Michaels connected with a flying crossbody, both targeting Haku. The coordinated offense secured the 3 count, giving the Rockers the victory and opening the event with a fast-paced tag team showcase. Dave Meltzer gave this tag match a 3.5-star rating. Let's move on to Dino Bravo, accompanied by Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart, taking on the Texas Tornado Kerry Von Erich. Both competitors were recognizable names in the WWF around 1990. Dino Bravo had been aligned with Earthquake as part of Jimmy Hart's camp, often appearing as one of the powerhouse heels on the roster. Kerry Von Erich, wrestling as the Texas Tornado, had enjoyed a strong run as Intercontinental Champion earlier that year and remained a popular babyface with fans. Von Erich receives a noticeable reaction from the crowd as he makes his way to the ring. Before the match can fully settle in, Bravo quickly attacks as Kerry enters, catching him while he's still trying to remove his ring jacket. The early ambush sends Von Erich to the outside after a clothesline, allowing Bravo to take control in the opening moments. Back inside the ring, Bravo keeps the advantage with a steady offense, slowing the pace and grounding Von Erich. Kerry manages brief bursts of offense, attempting to rally the crowd, but Bravo repeatedly cuts him off and reestablishes control. At one point, Bravo connects with a side slam, a move he had been using as a finishing maneuver during this period, but Von Erich manages to kick out and keep the match alive. That moment gives Kerry an opening to mount a comeback. With the crowd behind him, he fights back with strikes and quickly applies the Von Erich family's signature hold, the Iron Claw. Once the hold is secured, Von Erich delivers several punches while maintaining the grip, and the referee counts the 3. The victory gives the Texas Tornado a decisive win, highlighted by the use of his trademark Iron Claw to finish the match. This match got a 3/4 star rating from Meltzer. The Warlord, accompanied by Slick, takes on the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith with Winston at ringside in a classic power versus power matchup. Both men were known for their impressive physiques, but they approached the match very differently. Warlord relied on brute strength and control, especially with his feared full Nelson submission, which had been portrayed as nearly impossible to escape. Davey Boy Smith entered with strong crowd support and quickly tried to use speed and quick bursts of offense to offset Warlord's power advantage. Early shoulder tackles showed Smith attempting to knock the bigger man off balance, establishing the strategy of staying mobile and avoiding Warlord's grip. The match follows a straightforward structure. Smith finds success when he keeps the pace moving, while Warlord gains control whenever he slows things down and uses his strength, including a prolonged bear hug and later locking in the dreaded full Nelson. Smith refuses to submit and eventually powers out of the hold, drawing a strong reaction from the crowd before capitalizing with his signature running power slam to secure the 3-count victory. Dave Meltzer awarded this match with a rating of 2.5 stars. Next up, we have the WWF Tag Team Championship match. The Hart Foundation, Bret Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil defending against the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags, with Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart at ringside. There's an interesting bit of history. The Hart Foundation had actually lost the tag belts to the Rockers at a TV taping, but the top rope broke mid-match, causing the bout to fall apart. Because of that, the match never aired and the titles remained with the Hart Foundation. The Nasty Boys had recently jumped to WWF from WCW, where they had made a strong impression working with the Steiner brothers. They came in as the #1 contenders thanks to some interference from Power and Glory against the Road Warriors. This setup made them credible challengers, even if they weren't established as top-tier title contenders at this stage. The match itself starts with Bret taking the lead, working both Knobbs and Sags with a series of technical moves and strikes. The crowd is fully engaged as Bret controls the early portion of the bout. Anvil plays the classic partner waiting on the apron, building anticipation for his hot tag, which gets the crowd even more invested. The Nasty Boys work the heat segment effectively, using punches, stomps, and basic holds to keep pressure on Bret. Knobbs eventually lands a cheap shot, giving the heels their moment to shine while Bret sells the offense convincingly. Finally, Anvil gets the hot tag and dominates, tossing the Nasty Boys into each other and hitting big clotheslines that get huge reactions from the crowd. The match continues with near falls and back-and-forth action, maintaining intensity throughout. The finish comes when the Hart Foundation hits the heart attack on Knobbs, but the referee is distracted, removing Bret from the ring. Taking advantage, the Nasty Boys introduce a motorcycle helmet, striking Anvil for the 3 count and capturing the titles. Dave Meltzer gave this tag team title match 3.5-star rating. Next up, we have the blindfold match, Rick the Model Martel taking on Jake the Snake Roberts, accompanied by Damien. The storyline going in was classic mid-80s WWF drama. Martel had blinded Roberts by spraying him in the eye with his perfume, leading Roberts to demand this unusual match as a way to make Martel experience what it felt like to be blinded. The match itself is simple by design. Since neither wrestler can see each other, it's largely about Martel stumbling around the ring while Jake uses the crowd to track him. Every time Jake points in Martel's direction, the crowd erupts, effectively guiding him to his opponent. This interaction turns the live audience into a key part of the match, making them feel involved in the action. Even with the visual limitations, both wrestlers play their roles well. Martel sells the fear of being hunted, while Jake masterfully commands the audience's reactions, creating tension and excitement. The match culminates when Jake finally catches Martel with the DDT, securing the pinfall. This match resulted in a dud rating from Dave Meltzer. Moving on, at WrestleMania VI, we had The Undertaker, accompanied by Paul Bearer, taking on Superfly Jimmy Snuka. This was early Undertaker territory. He had debuted just a few months earlier in November 1990 and was already establishing himself as a force to be reckoned with. Leading into this match, he'd worked through several mid-card babyfaces, and Snuka was next on his list. From the opening bell, Undertaker comes across as dominant. Snuka manages a brief flurry when he dodges an elbow drop, but Undertaker easily absorbs it, demonstrating his size and power. The match ends with Taker countering a crossbody attempt into a tombstone pile driver, picking up the decisive 3 count. The presentation, the pacing, and the crowd reaction all cement Undertaker's growing aura early in his legendary career. Dave Meltzer rated this match with 1 star. The Macho King Randy Savage, accompanied by sensational Queen Sherri, squared off against the Ultimate Warrior in what's billed as a career-ending matchup. The storyline coming in is intense. Macho King had cost Warrior the WWF title at the Royal Rumble, leading to a heated rivalry that required a decisive confrontation. Adding emotional stakes to the match, Miss Elizabeth, Savage's former manager, is seated in the audience witnessing the feud play out. From the outset, Warrior makes a statement by walking to the ring rather than rushing in, signaling that this encounter is about more than just a championship. His tights reinforce the idea that this match carries significant weight beyond the WWF title. The crowd is fully engaged, anticipating a clash between two of the company's top stars under a highly dramatic stipulation. Warrior starts the match with a methodical offensive, dominating Savage and even neutralizing Sherri when she interferes. Savage fights back, eventually dodging a shoulder tackle to apply a chin lock, giving him a brief advantage and drawing the crowd into his side. The pace intensifies when the referee is temporarily incapacitated, leading to accidental interference by Sherri, which Warrior pursues rather than capitalizing on the downed Savage, allowing Savage to score a near fall. Savage keeps the momentum, hitting a series of 5 top rope macho elbow drops, though Warrior consistently kicks out, maintaining the suspense. The audience is captivated as both competitors trade near falls and comebacks, heightening the drama of the encounter. Warrior regains control with a big splash, only for Savage to kick out, keeping the outcome uncertain and the crowd on edge. As the match reaches its climax, Savage attempts to target Warrior on the outside with the steel guardrail, but Warrior evades and continues his offensive. A series of shoulder tackles leads to the decisive pinfall, ending the match and marking the culmination of Savage's WWF storyline. Following the bout, Warrior exits in his signature fashion, leaving Savage and Sherri in the ring. Sherri, frustrated by the result, attacks Savage, prompting Elizabeth to run in and chase her away. This sets up an emotional reunion between Savage and Elizabeth, a memorable moment in WrestleMania history. Dave Meltzer awarded this match with the highest rating of the night, 4.25 stars. All right, let's talk about Demolition, Smash and Crush, teaming with Mr. Fuji against Koji Kitao and Genichiro Tenryu. This match came about because the WWF had a working relationship with Japan's SWS promotion, and Tenryu and Kitao were 2 of its top stars. Demolition, though past their peak, handled the match as a heel team, working over Kitao following a cane shot from Fuji. The crowd response here was noticeably quiet, likely due to the unfamiliarity with the Japanese team and Demolition not being in their prime. Tenryu eventually gets a hot tag and shows his skill, hitting an enziguri on Smash and finishing with a powerbomb for the win. While not a standout in terms of excitement, it was a solid cross-promotional showcase for the time. Dave Meltzer awarded this match with the lowest rating of the night, -0.5 star. The Intercontinental Championship match featured Mr. Perfect, accompanied by Bobby the Brain Heenan, defending his title against the Big Boss Man. The feud originally started with Rick Rude making disrespectful remarks about Boss Man's mother, but after Rude left the WWF over a contractual dispute, the storyline transitioned to Heenan's stable, with Perfect as the centerpiece. From the opening bell, Perfect showcased his athleticism, taking a variety of high-impact bumps, including a flip in response to a slap from Boss Man. Boss Man, in excellent condition, moved quickly throughout the match, and Perfect's willingness to absorb the offense made Boss Man look like a legitimate threat. At this point in his career, Boss Man could have convincingly captured the Intercontinental title, and this match helped establish that credibility with the audience. During the match, Boss Man briefly gained the upper hand by using the championship belt, but Perfect seized control and turned the tables, reinforcing his image as a cocky heel. The intensity of the match is evident in the physical details. The match took an additional twist when Andre the Giant, a former client of Heenan, appeared to support Boss Man. Andre's intervention included a belt shot delivered to Perfect, which looked clean and impactful. Boss Man went for the pin, nearly ending the match, but Perfect kicked out, keeping the suspense alive. The finish ultimately came when Haku and Barbarian stormed in, resulting in a disqualification, bringing the match to a dramatic and chaotic conclusion. Dave Meltzer rated this title match with 2.5 stars. Moving right along, we had Earthquake managed by Jimmy Hart taking on Greg the Hammer Valentine. Valentine, who had previously been aligned with Hart, had turned babyface, which set the stage for Hart to send his resident monster after him. While this was a step down for Earthquake, who had recently been feuding with Hulk Hogan, the match gave Valentine a chance to shine. He landed some solid offense, including a big elbow drop that got the crowd going. Ultimately, Hart's distraction allowed Earthquake to hit the aftershock for the 3 count, but it was a solid showcase for both men, keeping Valentine looking credible on the mid-card. This match resulted in a dud rating from Dave Meltzer. The team of Hercules and Paul Roma, better known as Power and Glory, took on the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. Going in, Power and Glory had been building momentum, but Roma was sidelined with an injury. The result was a quick, decisive win for the Legion of Doom. The Legion of Doom made short work of them, reinforcing their dominant presence in the tag ranks. This match resulted in a dud rating from Dave Meltzer. Up next, we witnessed the $1 Million Man against Virgil with Roddy Piper in Virgil's corner. This match comes after a storyline in which Virgil finally decides he's done being subservient to DiBiase's, striking out on his own with Piper agreeing to mentor him. The $1 Million Man is in the ring. Virgil employs a boxing-style offense, shuffling and striking with a combination of punches, giving his matches a distinctive pace. The $1 Million Man, playing the role of the arrogant champion, counters with simpler moves, maintaining control while allowing Virgil to showcase his own strengths. The crowd reacts enthusiastically to Virgil's effort. At one point, the $1 Million Man shoves Piper, drawing additional heel heat. Piper responds by low-bridging DiBiase's, which ultimately contributes to DiBiase's losing the match via countout. After the bell, the $1 Million Man attacks Virgil, prompting Piper to step in and protect his trainee. The segment concludes with Sensational Sherry entering the fray, assisting the $1 Million Man and overwhelming the babyfaces, establishing her as DiBiase's new manager and setting the stage for future storylines. Dave Meltzer rated this match with 2 stars. WrestleMania VII continues with the Mountie, managed by Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart, taking on Tito Santana. The Mountie was still a fresh character in the WWF, being built up with wins, while Santana brought credibility as a former Intercontinental and Tag Champion. The crowd is still cheering Santana as he works over Mountie early on. The finish comes when Hart passes the cattle prod to Mountie, and while the referee is distracted, Mountie lands the shock and scores the win, continuing his rise as a new heel force. Dave Meltzer awarded this match with the lowest rating of the night, -0.5 star. We close WrestleMania VII with the main event, the WWF Championship on the line. Sergeant Slaughter, accompanied by General Adnan, defending his title against the immortal Hulk Hogan. The crowd erupts as Hogan makes his entrance carrying a massive United States flag. The fans are immediately on their feet, and Hogan wastes no time chasing Slaughter to the floor amid a deafening USA chant. Slaughter slowly removes his military coat, building even more anticipation. Finally, the two lock up in the ring, jockeying for position until the referee separates them. They exchange another lockup, with Hogan shoving Slaughter across the ring. Slaughter complains of a hair pull, but the crowd is fully invested. Hogan then applies a side headlock, but Slaughter powers out, and the two collide in the center of the ring. After another exchange, Slaughter is knocked down and rolls to the floor. Hogan follows and delivers a double axe handle to the back before firing off a series of chops. General Adnan gets involved, hitting Hogan in the back, while Slaughter grabs a chair and swings, though the coat covering it seems to soften the blow. Slaughter retreats to the corner and targets Hogan's eyes, drawing another round of the USA chant. He rams Hogan into the top turnbuckle and hits a back elbow, but Hogan evades another strike and begins unloading right hands. Adnan eats a punch as well. Hogan hits a clothesline in the corner and executes an atomic drop for a near fall. The action spills to the floor, with Hogan taking advantage, sending Slaughter into the turnbuckle repeatedly and executing a backdrop from the corner. Hogan continues his offense, delivering repeated running clotheslines and punches in the corner for a 2 count. He climbs to the middle rope and is caught with a right hand coming down, shakes it off, and responds with a slam, followed by 2 elbow drops. Hogan ascends the top rope, only for Slaughter to grab his leg, slamming him down. Hogan lands on the floor. Slaughter retrieves a chair to strike him in the back, bleeding in the process. The champion works over the challenger in the ring with kidney punches and a backbreaker for another 2 count. Slaughter transitions into a Boston Crab, with Adnan providing extra leverage, forcing the Hulkster to reach the ropes to break the hold. Sergeant Slaughter ascends the turnbuckle again, hitting a knee to the challenger's back for another near fall, then retrieves a chair and strikes Hulk Hogan in the head, causing him to bleed more. Hogan sells the injury, using the crowd's energy to mount a comeback. As the champion attempts to run the challenger into the corner, Sergeant Slaughter becomes overconfident, covering the Hulkster with an Iraqi flag for a 2 count. That's all the provocation Hogan needs. He rips the flag away and begins his legendary Hulk Up comeback. The audience is electric. Hulk Hogan fires off a big boot, follows with a leg drop, and pins Sergeant Slaughter to reclaim the WWF Championship. Dave Meltzer rated this world title match with 2.5 stars.
And fans, we want to take a moment to actually thank ELEVENLABS. If you're looking to create a lifelike audio, with ELEVENLABS AI voice generator, you can produce the most realistic speech with ease. Whether it's for audiobooks, video voiceovers, commercials, or any project that needs human-like narration, ELEVENLABS has got you covered. ELEVENLABS offers 32 languages. Their platform is perfect for all your audio needs. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below to explore more about ELEVENLABS today. Alright, wrestling fans, get your erasers out. It's time for us to be the bookers for this event. It's a segment of the show that really starts making all us wrestling fans a fantasy booker. Here are some what-if scenarios and/or ideas about this event for many of you to ponder and discuss. What if we finally got to see Demolition battle the Legion of Doom? Think about it. 2 of the top tag teams of the era, of the 80s and early 90s, never clashing at WrestleMania. So why didn't this happen? Well, backstage politics could have played a huge role. And honestly, wrestling is often about the story you can tell in the ring, not just the dream match itself. But imagine the crowd reaction if the clash had happened. Just monumental. And personally, a wrestling fan from this time period, we do get that loss. We don't experience 2 of the greatest tag teams of all time battling it out. Yeah, we got little teasers here and there between 6-man tags and stuff, but still, that wasn't officially an actual match. And no other place I can imagine this happening than WrestleMania. But unfortunately, it's another dream match wasted. Next, the venue switch. What if WWF actually did wait it out for the Coliseum? Here's the reality. While ticket sales could have improved, the risk was enormous. Production costs were higher, and empty seats at a 100,000 capacity stadium would have looked terrible on pay-per-view and in the media. The smaller LA Sports Arena allowed the WWF to sell out, create a full house energy, and avoid the visual problem of an under-attended stadium. Would it have worked though? Maybe, but the odds of a spectacular visual selling out were slim. The decision was conservative, but realistic, balancing fan experience, production, a storyline continued. We actually found a visual of what WrestleMania VII would have looked like at the Los Angeles Coliseum, and it really makes us wonder, could we ever see in the future of current day wrestling an actual WrestleMania event or something of a big scale PLE happening in this arena? Check it out yourself. And what were the standouts for this event? What made the highlight reels and moments, as well as the botches, the mistakes, the lookaways? Here are some from this event. The Hulk Hogan vs. Sergeant Slaughter WWF Championship match is the undisputed match of the night, delivering high drama, political storytelling, and a payoff that fans remember decades later. But let's not put away the career-ending match, as this stands to date as one of a select few best Ultimate Warrior matches, thanks to the brilliance of Randy Savage, more than likely writing the entire match. For the botch of the night, you could point to some of the blindfold match miscommunications. Classic wrestling comedy that worked because it didn't work perfectly. And what about the pop of the night? What got fans overly excited, got them on their feet, caused pandemonium? Let's take a listen, shall we?
You're not gonna do that to me. You're not gonna do that to the United States of America and the thousands of Hulkamaniacs. Irish whipping the big boot.
No, pull it.
Hulkster off with the leg drop. The cover. He got him.
He got it.
What a comeback!
He did it for the World Wrestling Federation. And
for the United States of America.
What a comeback!
I certainly am. History once again made here at WrestleMania. An unprecedented three-time winner of the World Wrestling Federation title.
Looking back, WrestleMania VII is remembered as a milestone in World Wrestling Federation history. It may not have been perfect. Ticket sales, venue changes, and controversial storylines were all a part of the mix, but it delivered unforgettable drama, historic matches, and career-defying moments from Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter to The Undertaker's streak and the chaotic blindfold match. Fans still talk about this show, debate the what-ifs, and cherish the moments. 35 years later, WrestleMania VII remains a classic example of pro wrestling's unique blend of spectacle, storytelling, and behind-the-scenes drama. It reminds us why we fell in love with this business and why we'll never stop talking about it. As always, we appreciate and thank you all for taking the time to be a part of our episode here on the Wrestling Universe channel. Please let us know how we did, or if you have anything you would like to contribute to this episode, we would love to hear your feedback. And you know the drill. Follow us on all of our social platforms, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, and we look forward to the next episode. So long, wrestling fans.